Hello, everyone. On behalf of the entire Xconomy staff, welcome to Xconomy's 2020 National Awards Program. Normally, we'd be gathering in a packed ballroom to honor the very best our industry has to offer and to celebrate our most impactful accomplishments. But as we all know, these are not normal times. The safety and well-being of our friends and colleagues is paramount. So instead of coming together in person, Xconomy decided to create a virtual awards festival, starting with this Meet the Finalists webcast series that allows the industry to get to know the 40 companies and individuals that represent the finalists of the 2020 Xconomy National Awards. Over the course of the days leading up to the awards ceremony on September 24th, Xconomy invites you to meet the 2020 finalists for each award category, to hear their stories, to understand their unique, game-changing contributions, and recognize the impact they've made to improve our ability to discover, develop, and deliver effective therapeutics and vaccines to those most in need. This year, Xconomy received a record 600 nominations representing 10 award categories. Each nomination was carefully reviewed and ranked by Xconomy's editorial staff using specific criteria to yield the 4 finalists in each category. Before we get started, please keep in mind that everyone's been registered and provided access to the awards networking app. It's open now and will remain open through September 24th. It's a great and easy to use program that provides all attendees with the opportunity to meet and greet and interact with other attendees, finalists, sponsors, friends, colleagues, existing and future business partners. Today, we're happy to introduce you to the social responsibility finalists. Now, I know from experience what you do is more than a job. It's actually part of who you are. You put in all those extra hours and go the extra miles because what you do is more important than just work. It's also why so many of you are also involved in supporting your communities outside of work. The Social Responsibility Award recognizes the individual company that have made a concerted effort to look beyond the demands of their shareholders, beyond their 9-to-5 responsibilities in order to give back to their communities. The finalists for the 2020 Social Responsibility Award are Sam Kojo, Amaoakohene from Halodine, COTA, Diversity and Inclusion Committee, EMD Serono, Embracing Carers, and Horizon Therapeutics at Rare IS Adoption Fund. So let's go ahead and meet them right now.
My name is Dr. Amaoakohene. I'm an anesthesiologist, and I was the team leader at my hospital for COVID-19 during the peak of the pandemic. And I, like most of my colleagues, had every single PPE available to us. I had surgical gowns, simple masks, N95s, pipers, or what some will consider as gowns, or hood. And in spite of all that, in spite of taking every single precaution, preaching that to my team, in spite of taking multiple showers during the day, and never taking my N95 mask off whilst I was in the hospital, I still contracted COVID-19. And unfortunately, I ended up giving it to my family, my wife and my 3 young kids. And during that whole time, I kept wondering, what could we do? What else could we do? Knowing very well that we had been using the 3 pillars of, in terms of combating this pandemic: distancing, duration, and diversification. Essentially decreasing the number of interactions you have with different people, which will help to decrease your risk. Spending less time with people and sort of social distancing. We had done all that, and yet we failed. And during that time, I began to wonder if there's another way we can stop this virus, knowing where the virus replicates, the areas of the human body where the virus thrives. And that's what really led me into thinking, talking to my team, and initiating the whole process of using dilute povidone iodine, which we call Halodine, in basically curbing the spread of this virus, in stopping the virus or inactivating the virus in the very parts of the human body that we know the virus thrives, replicates, and sheds. And so we already had a biotech company that was into dermatological medications using povidone iodine. So what I immediately began to do was to use our formulations and change that into the effect of killing this or inactivating this virus, and thereby helping to prevent the spread of the virus. And specifically, my goal was to use this in the healthcare field, because most of us were exposed and we had nothing, and still were getting sick despite all the PPEs we had. And my team was gracious enough to go with me after bringing the idea up and initiating formulations and looking into how we could use compounds in making the right medication that will inactivate this virus. And that's exactly what we did. With the use of dilute povidone iodine, we were able to demonstrate activity against SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is COVID-19. In that this formulation that we have in dilute povidone iodine is able to inactivate the virus 99.99% of the time. And so once that idea came to fruition and we were able to compound that into something that was safe, tolerable in repeated doses or usage, that became like, wow, we found something that would be life-saving for the global community. And then sooner than later, it dawned on us that this is not just for healthcare providers. Everyone is suffering from this. And so the whole idea then expanded into use of Halodine in the general population, in having to prevent the infection and the spread of this virus. I'm originally from Ghana. I was born in Ghana. I came to this country, graduated from University of Virginia. And so as I speak with you, Ghana is getting ready for registration. They actually just finished a registration, and they're getting ready for presidential and parliamentary elections. And one can imagine the chaos that the country has been through, because they don't have the system that we do have here in America where you can vote by mail. They have to go to the polls in order for the people to be able to exercise their voting rights and continue their democracy, which in Ghana, it is seen as one of the beacon of democracy in Africa. They have no option but to go to the polls. And so once we were able to put together Halodine, I began talks with the government in Ghana and assemble my team and a medical team and a medical team in Ghana, in a way of really trying to get Halodine into the country, and including the use of dilute povidone iodine in their COVID prevention protocols, which will allow them, the electoral body and the people having to exercise their voting rights, to be able to really help prevent the spread of the virus. As one can imagine, during the electoral process, there are a lot of people going out to the polls. And so the risk of contracting this virus is astronomical. As mentioned earlier, remember the three pillars that are crucial in preventing the spread of COVID-19: distancing, duration, and diversification. If you distance, you decrease the risk. If you spend less time interacting with people, you decrease the risk. If you do not interact with multiple people or different people during the day, you decrease the risk. Wow. If you expect people and millions of people to go to the polls, one can imagine in a system where you're not in a developed world, where you already lack resources, one can imagine the millions of people going to the polls and the risk that poses to the general population and to the country as a whole in terms of helping to prevent the spread of this virus. And so what I've been able to do with my team is being able to help Ghana to finish a registration process and now be able to go into the elections for presidential and parliamentary elections, knowing that they have a fourth D called decontamination, which is nasal and oral Halodine. And the use of nasal and oral Halodine is able to help reduce the spread of this virus, because it has been demonstrated that the use of dilute povidone iodine is safe. The data on it is enormous, that is safe, that is efficacious, that it can be used repeatedly in helping prevent the spread and the contraction of this virus.
Diversity runs through COTA's DNA. The Employee-Run Diversity and Inclusion Committee started 3 years ago to incorporate a formal D&I roadmap into our company's operations and long-term goals. The initiatives that the committee sponsors have both internal and external impact. Some of the ways that we do this are with an annual month-long Pride celebration, with opportunities for education such as daily readouts, community engagement and local Pride events, and matching donations to the Trevor Project. This year, to encourage remote participation, we included a virtual movie night, and we're also joined by a drag performer over Zoom to teach us about the history and culture of drag and even walk us through a makeup tutorial. Another example of an external effort that COTA has taken part in, we're one of the 206 corporations which signed the amicus brief filed as part 3 of the landmark Supreme Court cases that determined whether LGBTQ people are protected from discrimination in a variety of contexts. With this case decided, we've signed on to yet another amicus brief in support of the Equal Rights Amendment, which guarantees equal rights for all Americans regardless of sex. Most recently, we've had a concerted ongoing response to the BLM movement and racial injustice issues, including employee discussion forums, a company-wide newsletter, and matching donations to philanthropies associated with the movement. We recognize that it takes work to get to a truly equitable society, both within and outside our walls, and that we're far from there, but we're committed to doing our part to help bridge that gap.
COTA uniquely sits at the intersection of the healthcare and technology industries, two industries that independently face well-documented issues of disparity. At the intersection, issues around race, gender, and sexual orientation all impact access to healthcare and overall outcomes. As a member of COTA's executive team, I believe that the social responsibility category is important to our industry, and we at COTA strive to have a direct impact on improving equity for the health of our fellow citizens. COTA takes social responsibility very seriously, not just for our internal organization, but also the broader communities we live in and serve. Our D&I committee has helped push us to recognize our own deficits and focus on improving the way we operate to serve our community. We need all fellow health tech companies to continue to step forward and look for ways to bring about positive change for our community.
We believe success and social responsibility requires action, and we're proud that we've been able to act as agents of change, both at COTA and for the industry at large. Equity, justice, these aren't just things we talk about. These are mission critical values we strive for as part of our culture and as part of our most fundamental business objectives. That hasn't happened by accident. We hold ourselves accountable at each level and function of our organization, from ensuring broad representation among our teams and leadership to working to make clinical trials more diverse and representative of minority groups, to taking a stand on policy issues like the amicus brief that matter to our work and to our employees, to working closely with minority-owned businesses. We believe action and personal responsibility are imperatives. We understand the enormous responsibility we hold, and we've welcomed and embraced our ability to drive change.
Bracing Cares, led by EMD Serono, is a global collaboration with over 9 leading caregiver organizations. And within the US, we specifically work with the National Alliance for Caregiving and the Caregiver Action Network. And we're making significant strides to prioritize unpaid caregiving, as a global public health issue. And I think a fact that surprises a lot of people is that quite often caregivers don't identify themselves as caregivers. And that's significant because they're not often advocating for what they specifically need. But we are very aware that caregivers play such an important role in the healthcare system, but sometimes at a great personal cost. And so this program is specifically trying to help unpaid caregivers focus on improving their own health and wellness, and also increasing support for their workplace, financial, and policy needs. So in a recent survey, we saw, for example, that 54% of caregivers said that they weren't able to book or attend their own medical appointments. And we know that caregiving for a family member, a neighbor, or a friend is often overwhelming. And we've seen that just under 50% of caregivers said that they've experienced depression, and over 55% said that their physical health was affected as a result of their caregiving. And if we think about the impact of COVID-19, that's been quite significant. So we just recently launched a 12-country survey where we're trying to underscore, what are the different ways that we can be supportive to caregivers during this specific time. So, EMD Serono would be immensely honored to be recognized for working collaboratively with local, national, and global partners. I feel like together we've made significant strides in improving the caregiver experience, whether that's just driving awareness of this issue, building partnerships to develop support programs, or advancing policy efforts like respite care. And not only do we work with the 9 leading caregiver organizations, but we also work with 30 other organizations as well. For example, the Massachusetts Business Roundtable Caregiver Coalition, where we collaboratively created an employer toolkit that works specifically on best practices to support family members within the workforce. We also have done work with the American Cancer Society, where we created a video series with helpful tips, for example, how to change a port at home. And also another partnership I'd profile is Can Do MS, where we're helping with their peer-to-peer support programs. So I believe with our partnerships, we're helping move the needle on behalf of caregivers around the globe.
Our partnership with Gift of Adoption is truly a unique, special opportunity that enables us to transform our commitment to supporting the accessibility and delivery of healthcare to new heights. Gift of Adoption helps place children in their forever homes, focusing on the most difficult situations, including siblings and children with significant medical issues. When looking at their data, the Gift of Adoption team realized that a large percentage of the students that they help place with severe medical issues, in fact, have rare diseases. We at Horizon Therapeutics are a team that is focused on developing therapies for treating rare diseases. So our partnership with Gift of Adoption was really formed within that mission-aligned and overlapping space. Children with rare diseases that need help. We seeded the Rare Is Adoption Fund based on that overlap. And what the fund will accomplish is place 30 children over 3 years with their new forever families, children that would otherwise more than likely remain within orphanages until adulthood. It's really important for businesses to know that the support that they extend to the community is valued. And awards like this help to communicate that value by commending businesses that are taking the time to invest in supporting programs and initiatives that extend beyond the walls of their business. In the case of our partnership with Gift of Adoption, to supporting families that are the fabric that really make our community so strong. At Horizon, we take a lot of pride in supporting our community. In fact, we've been giving back from the very beginning of our company. Our founding CEO invested in giving back and supporting the community even before the company was profitable, attaching real value to the impact giving back can have on the business as a whole. And awards like this really communicate that value to a larger community, so more businesses know that the work that they can do to support their community is recognized and valued. I think the sheer scale of the number of children globally that are languishing in orphanages is truly heartbreaking. And placing those children in loving homes involves a host of logistical challenges that are also incredibly costly. Within that immense need, there is a group of children who are particularly vulnerable, the most vulnerable. And those are the ones who have siblings in some sort of foster care arrangement, or they have significant medical conditions. And the Rare Is Adoption Fund was created to help those most vulnerable kids. So it helps us find those kids and have an immeasurable impact on their lives and the lives of their new family members that they'll be joining, and ultimately gives them access to what every child deserves, which is a loving, caring, and supportive home. The first little girl we were able to help through our fund, her name is Nora, and she has a rare skin condition. And her family that she joined lives in Wisconsin, and they also have a biological daughter with the same rare condition. And despite the fact that taking care of that rare condition involves a very intense daily process, that family decided that they wanted to adopt Nora so they could give her all the love and medical support that she needed to really thrive and flourish. but the obstacle that they encountered that prevented them from bringing Nora from China all the way to Wisconsin was financial. They didn't have the resources that they needed to complete the adoption. And so the Rare's Adoption Fund in this case is able to step in and support families like Nora's family who have the intention, the will, the kindness in their hearts to bring in a child that's got some sort of medical condition and to really have them join their family in their home. And so for us at Horizon, it's really been an honor and a privilege for us to have a role to play in uniting these very special families, and something that we're incredibly proud of.
Well, congratulations to all the finalists for this well-deserved recognition. And thanks to all of you for joining us today for this Meet the Finalists webcast. If you're hearing my voice, it means you're automatically registered and have access to the awards networking app. So I encourage you to take full advantage of it, connect, and set up meetings with friends, colleagues, and business partners. We hope you enjoyed today's program and that you're registered for all the upcoming Meet the Finalists presentations. If so, we look forward to seeing you there. If not, there's still time. Just visit xconomy.com/national-awards. Either way, make sure to secure your complimentary registration to the 2020 Xconomy National Awards ceremony on September 24th. Let's all get together, have fun. It's going to be a lively evening as we announce this year's award winners. We'll see you there.